Welcome into another episode of the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia, reacting to the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24 win over Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You know, Ziggy, if you're a Bills fan tonight, you got to be thinking we finally had our chance. We're the number 2 seed. We get these guys at home. Baltimore looks really good, but we should finally be able to knock off the team that continuously beats us in the playoffs. You know, our own little demon here in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And at the end of the game, you know, Tyler Bass misses the kick. And next thing you know, Isaiah Pacheco runs for a first down. Game's over. And the Bills are going home once again at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. But when me and you talked about this game just before starting, we both felt that Kansas City really controlled this game despite the score, despite the situation at the end. I look back on it and I see McCole Hardman fumbling out of the end zone. I see a very fortunate fumble recovery for Buffalo on that final drive where Bass missed the kick. You know, several instances where Buffalo made mistakes and was able to recover from them. And Kansas City could have blown this thing open at the end, but in the end, still, they're unable to do it. It felt like finally this would be the chance, but not quite so.
Yeah, ask Bills fans. If there was any phrase that could be more devastating for Bills fans than 13 seconds, it was wide right.
Yes.
And history repeated itself, admittedly in a little bit of a smaller moment, but not a whole lot. I don't think Bills fans are going to be feeling good about this one. And I think this game, as he said, Paul, the Chiefs were really in control for a lot of the game. And I think this tells you just how hard it is for the Bills to execute the sort of conservative game plan they often seem to want to run. Because they were pretty good at running the ball, right? High success rate, relatively efficient running. But what mattered in this game, the plays that made a difference, weren't getting a few yards on a run. It was Josh Allen on the deep pass. And sometimes those work out, and sometimes they don't. And tonight, for whatever reason, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs were just not on the same page. And that is what made the Buffalo Bills go home.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like the Bills, you know, we don't think the Bills got crushed or anything. Like, it was a great game, back and forth. And when these two teams meet up, it just seems like it's an instant classic waiting to happen. There are very few rivalries in the NFL, you know, right now, let alone, you know, in its history that has had so many great playoff matches like Chiefs and Bills. So don't let us make it sound like the Bills, you know, weren't in this game. They obviously could have had a chance to win it at the end.
They had lots of chances to win.
Yeah. Oh, I thought they were going to get in the end zone there. This was a great game. It wasn't Chiefs domination. It's just Kansas City had some chances to really take control where they were unable to. But you talk about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. You know, Stephon Diggs is someone who, as Vikings fans, we've seen a lot of his career. And even when he went on to Buffalo, you monitor it. He's one of my favorite players. He's one of my brother's favorite players growing up. Just a dominant receiver. And the way that he faded during this season, and even tonight, that deep ball when Allen took his shot in the mid fourth quarter around then, that the Stephon Diggs I know comes down like that. And I'm not quite sure what wound up going on throughout this season. We know preseason there was so much drama. I don't know if it's Stephon just getting a little bit older, but there's definitely a lack of that true number one receiver that he's been for the Bills for so many years. And I think that played a big part in their loss when they weren't able to get anything going offensively. It ultimately came down to Kincaid or James Cook, the two guys that we mentioned being X factors, having to make a play. You know, Shakir also made a few, but I don't know. Did you see anything during the season? I'm trying to think, like, what could possibly have led to this Diggs fall off?
No, I think it's a little bit strange that people are talking like this is sudden. Stephon Diggs has had a long, bad stretch. You know, the last time he went over 100 yards was October 15th against the Giants. Since November 13th, he's gone over 50 yards twice. And I think some of it has to be he turned 30 years old this season, right? And the fact is, not everyone, as many times as there are players who are able to age really well, you know, Devontae Adams stands out as a player who keeps getting older and keeps staying elite.
Amazing.
It is incredibly hard to play in the NFL into your 30s. So I think some of it has to be age. Some of it might just be a lost connection. You know, as magical as connections are, they also can magically disappear. The chemistry between Allen and Diggs just isn't there. And I think I have to place some of it on bringing in a new offensive coordinator. The offense has changed a little bit. Not a ton, but they do things a little bit differently, as you always are when you bring in a new coordinator, right? And Stephon Diggs' fading fell in at about the time the coordinator change happened.
Yeah, so maybe that was it. It could also be a reason we don't know behind the scenes. Who knows what's going on? But Stephon Diggs falling off certainly didn't help the case for the Buffalo Super Bowl run. Now let's focus on Kansas City. I mean, these, the winners here. Hopefully, the people watching this are a lot of Chiefs fans. I look at this team right now. We talked about whether or not they are more dangerous than they've been all year at this very moment. And after watching tonight, I think the answer is obviously yes. The offense finally looked back in rhythm over the past couple of weeks. They've been struggling all season, but then tonight you see a great performance from Travis Kelce. You see Isaiah Pacheco, some of that Jersey toughness. Dude, I love this guy. The Chiefs teams in the past, when they were going on all these Super Bowl runs before, we always talked about the explosive offense, how they would go and score 30-something points per game, Mahomes and the air raid. But this team now, defense, tough. That's their identity. They're physical. And Isaiah Pacheco has brought that to the offense where we haven't seen it before. And now they're able to pound out games that they need to. Remember, right before the McCole Hardman fumble, it was an Isaiah Pacheco nearly 30-yard run that set them up there. This is someone that they can lean on at the end of games, and it's going to be someone they need to go into Baltimore against a super physical Ravens defense. The back end, that secondary is very good. They're going to need Isaiah Pacheco in this. I think he might actually be their best playmaker right now. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I absolutely do. I'm willing to say this after a whole lot of time with the Chiefs offense not quite looking right. I'm going to put my foot down. The Chiefs offense is back. This is Patrick Mahomes' best game of the whole season. It was the offense's best game of the whole season. As you say, Pacheco was a huge part of that, but so too was Travis Kelce and his 2 touchdowns on 5 receptions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That connection looked back. Valdes-Scantling had one of the best catches of his entire career, right when the Chiefs need it. A Christian Kirk type contract might be coming in for him just because of that catch. But I mean, it was a great game for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And as you say, Baltimore is going to present a new challenge, right? But this is 2 weeks in a row they've gone against good defenses that have played pretty well in the Bills and Dolphins. Not like the best defenses in the NFL, but we're not talking about we're not talking about the Raiders or the Patriots or the Chargers defenses that the Chiefs are back.
We talk about Travis Kelce here, and I think that's something that this Kansas City team, Kelce coming on over the past few weeks, because, I pulled up his stats here. Dude had disappeared midseason. He had been gone, especially later in the year, too. Before the playoffs, 28 yards, 44-16. It wasn't the Travis Kelce that we were accustomed to seeing. You start hearing all the media outlets saying he's getting older, he's lost a step, and that may be true. But at the end of the day, this Kansas City team, what they have that the Baltimore Ravens don't have, that the Buffalo Bills don't have, the Miami Dolphins don't have, they have that championship culture, that championship mindset with them, where when you're watching that game, in the back of your head, most people are thinking the Chiefs are going to find a way to win this. And you just know people, anyone listening, people growing up with, that you hang out with now. It could even be playing a game of darts or, something like that. There are certain people who you just think are going to win, who are going to step up in the big moment. And that's not to say Josh Allen, can't do that, because the 13-second game they should have won. This one drove down the field, came very close. But the Chiefs in the back of their minds always think they're going to win. They're always going to rise to the occasion, it feels like. Kelce did it tonight. I'm sure if Mahomes had gotten the ball back, I would have loved to see him in a tie game go down the field. I was rooting for that at the end. I don't think you can underestimate or overstate how important that is going into an AFC Championship game.
No, and it is frankly unbelievable how Patrick Mahomes just seems to cruise to the conference championship game every year. You know what the last conference championship game matchup without Patrick Mahomes was?
It was 2016.
Yeah, it was probably Brady Bortles. Blake Bortles.
2017?
Yeah. Or you look at since the AFL NFL merger, there have been 18 franchises that have qualified for fewer than 6 conference championship games. Patrick Mahomes has been to 6 in 6 years. Like we haven't seen somebody ever this consistent at winning. And you're right, that absolutely impacts how the team feels going into Baltimore, right? They're not going to be intimidated. They're not going to be scared. They're not going to be worried. They're going to think we're playing our best football of the year, like we've planned it. We spent the whole regular season sort of troubleshooting on offense, trying to figure out how to make things work. We finally got the formula, right? Andy Reid, the mastermind, is just sitting back there coming up with stuff. Patrick Mahomes is finally clicking with the receivers when he needs to, and it's go time.
You know, I was just thinking there, LeBron James, we've talked about his making 10 straight NBA finals. When you look at some of the more unbelievable streaks in the history of sports, basketball, it's easier to do that in basketball. Not to say 10 NBA finals in a row is not crazy, because it is. But football is so different from basketball, because in basketball, you could have one or two guys who can really take over a game and just, dominate for a long time. In the NFL, the one thing we always talk about, every show talks about, every fan talks about it, going into the season, it's always a possibility that it could be your year. There's always a new team rising up. There's teams falling off. That's what makes football the best of all the sports, is that anybody can win any given year. And it's any given Sunday. That's where the saying's from. But with Patrick Mahomes, that's the exception right now. And this Chiefs team, where they are the one team that you can look back over the past 6 years, every single time they are there. And that, to me, we can talk about this forever. It's so incredible. I don't want to just sit here gassing it up, but just think about that 6 straight years. We're Vikings fans. The NFC Championship seasons that we've had are my favorite football seasons ever. In 2017, 2009, I don't remember 1998, but those are years that we talk about like, special seasons. To think that this fan base, and Chiefs were starved for a long time of success, but 6 years in a row is just unbelievable.
Yeah, the only team or organization that has done this before, gone to 6 or more straight conference championships, 2011 to 2018 Patriots. That's it.
Yeah, I view it similarly. I view the Chiefs a little bit like the Patriots, whereas as Vikings fans, I don't like anyone in the NFC. Straight up. I don't root for any NFC team, basically, because at some point or another, they've done something to the Vikings to piss me off. But I always viewed Brady as, go take care of the team that I dislike. Go handle the Seahawks. Go handle, I was hoping, the Eagles. The Chiefs are starting to become that, where it's okay, just take care of the team. I don't really have too much against the Lions. 49ers are kind of annoying, but they seem to be like the team that I can turn to and say, hey, take care of these teams that the Vikings can't. It's an unbelievable run in Kansas City right now. And I think they're going to give Baltimore a really good game. People think that the Ravens are going to roll, but I'd be stunned.
The Ravens are opening at 3-point favorites at home. And here's something to keep in mind. The Chiefs just faced the second best dual threat quarterback in the NFL in Josh Allen. And we're able, Josh Allen put up 3 touchdowns, right? 1 passing, 2 rushing. He had a very good game. But the Bills had 0 plays over 20 yards compared to 8 from the Chiefs, right? They were able to limit the explosiveness and eventually grind them out. The Chiefs are going to try and do the same thing against Lamar Jackson. Will they? We'll see. We'll talk about it in our game previews coming up to this week, and we'll see when it's played out next week. But the fact that they were able to do it against Josh Allen means there's a good chance they can do it against the Ravens too.
You could tell from the beginning of this game too that Patrick Mahomes was locked in. As soon as I walked out, we finished our recording. I came out. My dad said Mahomes is on tonight. And we're going to have to see if that happens against Baltimore. I know Ravens fans have been coming at us for a while saying we never picked them. That's a really good team in Baltimore. That's probably the most complete team in the NFL. Really no holes on that roster. It's going to be a tough one for Mahomes and Kansas City to win, especially when you consider what has Baltimore done to good teams this year. Blew out the Lions. Think about the teams that are left in the playoffs. Blew out the Lions, blew out the 49ers. They beat the Rams, another playoff team. They crushed Miami. Half of the playoff teams have been annihilated by Baltimore this season. It is a tough task, but it's going to be really fun to see the king of the AFC go on and take Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on the AFC Championship game. Going to be a great game. You got any closing thoughts here on this you want to say?
I think you're right in saying it's a great game. I'm really excited for both of the matchups we're going to have next week in the conference championships, both Lions 49ers and Ravens Chiefs. But certainly, if I had to circle just one game, and really this is the game I've wanted to see all season, if things could click for the Chiefs, an on-fire Chiefs offense with an effective defense versus the Ravens on-fire defense and effective offense, strength on strength on strength on strength. It's going to be a great one.
It's awesome. The AFC playoffs, the NFC has been really good. You've had some of the best games, but man, the AFC quarterback matchups that we've had, we've been really spoiled here. It's gonna be a great night, or a great Sunday, really. All right, we will be back probably Tuesday with a full episode, more of a divisional breakdown, a bigger reaction with Jack and Zach on, and then we turn our attention to the championship games, and we'll see who's going to the Super Bowl. We'll have a lot more coming up. Appreciate everyone who's listening. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you later.